From downtown Detroit, Local 4 Live starts right now.
Thanks for joining us on Local 4 Live. I'm Will Jones in for Nick Monticelli. Good morning to everyone watching on Click on Detroit, Local 4 Plus, and streaming on YouTube. Plenty of conversations happening in the next 2 hours, starting in Macomb County, where there is a push to change how missed child support payments are handled. We're talking with County Prosecutor Pete Lucido about the plan. Then we're turning the pages back to 1935, when the United Auto Workers Union was first setting its roots here in Detroit, and how it changed the country's labor force forever. And the new school year is just getting started in Detroit. The district superintendent is sharing the challenges and new opportunities ahead. Then celebrating 90 years, the organization forever changing the face of labor in America. Then Rhonda Walker joining us after having a one-on-one with the man in charge of the biggest school district in the entire state. We're talking with Dr. Nikolai Viti and DPSCD. Now look at what's topping our headlines. The threat of a state shutdown is still more than a month away, but schools and families are still waiting to figure out how to budget for the school year that just started. Lawmakers failed to pass the state budget on July 1st. Both parties are pointing fingers at each other on who's to blame. Governor Gretchen Whitmer will be talking with the heads of two chambers to get the state budget moving. These are the two men charged in the deadly shooting at Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit. Mario Green is charged with first-degree premeditated murder. Police say he walked into the basement of the hospital and shot his ex-wife, Latricia Green Brown. The second man, Anthony Barnett, is accused of helping Green get away from the scene. The search for Green lasted 17 hours. It came to an end when he was taken into custody early Saturday morning. In Dearborn, a man accused of intentionally running over another man with his car is facing charges. The assault happened Saturday night at Michigan Avenue and House Street. Police say the victim used to work for the family before he was fired. The victim told police he was afraid for his life before the crash. However, we're told no action was taken by police at the time. Murtada Al-Zarich has a bond at $750,000. He's scheduled to return to court next week. Michigan's Attorney General is taking aim at DTE's massive rate hike proposal. The utility company wants to raise your bill by 11%. That's $500 million just months after a $217 million rate hike already went into effect. But Dana Nessel is fighting back, calling for a 75% rate cut. She says most of the proposed hike won't even improve service and only increases profits for the company. However, DTE says the increase would fund critical infrastructure upgrades and keep power reliable. Getting a live look at the seat of Macomb County in Mount Clement, and a new program is being proposed to help parents who are behind on child support payments. The plan from Macomb County Prosecutor Pete Lucido looks to create Michigan's first child support specialty court, which would help parents find jobs, pay what they owe, and avoid jail time for missed payments. In Macomb County, unpaid child support adds up to about $312 million. This new court will let parents plead guilty to missing child support payments, and rather than going to jail, they can plead guilty and complete a year-long program with job training and court check-ins. The program is aimed at helping families, not punishing parents who don't pay child support. Macomb County Prosecutor Pete Lucido is joining us to talk about this new program this morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Will, and good morning to the viewers out there.
So tell me how this all came about.
Well, you know, first of all, the duty of the prosecutor is not only to establish paternity, but also to set an amount of child support consistent with state guidelines. I have been a practitioner for almost 40 years. I used to do domestic work, which was support, visitation, medical, uninsured medical for children. This is about children. This isn't about anything other than taking care of a legal obligation, but it's a moral obligation. And we don't want to jail anybody, nor have them have a felony. So anything of $5,000 or more under state law says it's a felony. But rather than bring them in and put them in jail, that's not going to do anything. Let's go ahead and get them in what's called Michigan Works. If they say, I can't find a job, or I have a felony conviction. Soft felonies, we can get them to work. We have a shortage of jobs here in the state as it is. We have a gap in the type of jobs, either unskilled, minimal skill, or really skilled. I would like to have Michigan Works work with our court systems here of the 83 counties and get these individual jobs, get them working when they can find work, and more importantly, that money takes care of the children.
So you will find these parents who are, they haven't paid child support in how long? Years, probably?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The state of Michigan is $5.6 billion in arrears. That means outstanding child support right now on the books. What concerns me is nobody's doing anything about it, and we're just digging ourselves into a deeper hole. Wayne County, for instance, is $3.5 billion, over half of the total state's arrearages. Macomb County, like you said, $312 million. Oakland County is on par with Macomb. But when you take the whole state in consideration, what are we doing to repay the state for those monies that were allocated for those children? So in my office in Macomb County, we go ahead and we first establish paternity by way of little strips. We can show that 99.9% the father is the father, and then afterwards we get together and set an amount. If we can get the children money when they need it from 1 to 18, when they're critical years for that child, we got a better shot of making a better way of doing business, but also a better outcome for the child. It's all about the children. And I noticed that there is a direct correlation when somebody is working two jobs, let's say a parent, they're not there to take control of their child, watch the child in their element, and as such, they end up having these juvenile crimes. And we want to stop that. So if we can get the child support when it's needed, and the parent doesn't have to work 2 and 3 jobs to support the child or rely on grandparents or anyone else, then we're doing the right thing.
What is the typical person that you face comes into your office with this issue?
So what we want to do is we want to tell the county that the payers of the child support, come on in. If you got a warrant for your arrest, come on in. We'll get this set aside. We're not out to get you, okay? It's about compliance. We want to make sure if you can't find a job or you're disabled. Now, I want everybody to realize that if they're disabled, we have a SSD that will go to the children. So if you're totally and permanently disabled, you can't work, and we would get the money then for the children through SSD. If you're temporarily laid off, let's get around this by having a temporary suspension of the amount of support. But for God's sakes, don't just do nothing. Doing nothing isn't an option when you have an obligation.
All right, you're going to stick around. We're going to take a brief break, and we'll be back with more of the conversation in about 90 seconds. Welcome back. We're talking with Macomb County Prosecutor Pete Lucido about his new plan to help parents behind on child support payments. So is there a type of model or another county that you were following, or is this something that just came about because of your own, you saw the need for it?
We have a team back in Macomb County. It's called the Cooperative Reimbursement Team that we have with the chief as well as the individuals in the unit. This was discussed and it was brought out by an individual that said, we have a drug court, we have a alcohol or sobriety court, we have a mental health and a veterans court. Why not have a child support specialty court? We have more good to do for the children at the time they need it most. And guess what? We have all the tools and the infrastructure in place. We have a front of the court, it's there. We have a court system, it's there. We have a prosecutor's office that is obligated under law to collect this child support. It's there. What we realize is that we didn't take the initiative to do anything, and now it's time to change the culture of how we do business, get these children taken care of, get these reduced child support arrearages, and move on and make a better place for our kids here in Michigan.
And so, if this works well, do you think this will help improve family dynamics, bring fathers back into kids' lives? Because maybe some fathers, because they can't pay for whatever reason, decide, hey, I'm just not going to be involved out of shame or a variety of other reasons.
Spot on, Will. The relationship with a mother and a father may be strained or broken, but don't do it to the children. They're innocent and they don't know any better. I love the fact that it will reunite at least the child and or the parent that's not paying, giving that child a relationship or some love that has been missing for years maybe, and go ahead and start to foster that relationship that they know they never had. But when a father or a mother that's supposed to pay doesn't, and they say they can't get a job, there's plenty of jobs out there. And Michigan Works is going to help in assisting getting the system back up and running, because tomorrow they can report to work, benefits may come with the job or not, which all helps the family. And ultimately, it'll reduce the arrearages that are on the books. Remember, Will, DHHS is the largest part of the Michigan budget. Department of Health and Human Services takes care of kids, takes care of elderly that can't take care of themselves. Therefore, if we don't use the taxpayers' funds to take care of another child, isn't it best that the children get the support from the ones that had them? I believe that a good system is take care of your children, let them grow up strong, let them grow up the way that you and I grew up. And at the end of the day, we produce a better society.
So they plead guilty.
Yep.
And then what happens next?
So under 771, it's only 1 year that we are given. I want to get the legislators involved to stretch that. So they'll be on a specialty court for child support for 1 year. We're going to start off that way. We want to move the needle and make it up to 5 years because some have huge arrearages. And then at the end, they will not have a felony conviction. They will have completed the specialty court. They will have been put on track. They go about their business. We're not out to get a felon, another felony, or we're not out to make a felon. We're out to have compliance, and that's all this is about.
How do you measure success?
We've already had it in place in an informal way without Michigan Works involved. Right now, we've collected over $3.4 million. I'm proud of the team because they came through just finding people to come on in, moving out these orders where they have warrants out for their arrest, and they start making compliance. $3.5 million right now, I think it is, to date, and we've only had it up and running over 2 years.
This is a really creative way to deal with a massive problem in our state, and congratulations on that, and we look forward to following it, and hopefully we can profile some people.
I hope it becomes a national model.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. It's a name countless of auto workers have rallied around for generations. After the break, the pivotal moment in the UAW's history that was felt across the country. Taking a live look at the Detroit skyline, let's travel back in time for an important moment in labor history. On this day, 90 years ago, in 1935, the United Auto Workers Union held its first convention, forever changing the face of labor in America. The UAW was created by the American Federation of Labor as part of the Congress of Industrial Organizations to organize auto workers who didn't fit into the AFL's focus on skilled trades. It quickly gained power with strikes like the Flint sit-down strike against General Motors in 1936 through 1937, winning recognition for workers and convincing GM workers to officially join the UAW. During World War II, the UAW helped mobilize workers for war efforts. After the war, it expanded to other industries like aerospace and became a strong political force. The union faced challenges in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, but kept fighting for workers' rights. Today, the UAW continues to adapt, organizing workers in new fields and fighting for labor rights and social justice. The first UAW president was Francis Dillard, who served 242 days. The longest serving UAW president was Walter Reuther, who served for 24 years. Current UAW president is Shawn Fain, who has been at it for 2 years. While this look at the Detroit skyline looks sunny and warm, we can definitely feel the fall in the air. Ashley is tracking the chilly start to the day.
Now, forewarned weather with Exact Track 4D.
Well, as we take a look at the rest of the school week, as many districts are now back in session, we're still tracking a spotty rain chance this afternoon, just like yesterday. Isolated, kind of hit or miss, but we all will experience below average temperatures for the rest of the week. And as far as rain being more widespread, a bit more heavy, and maybe even an embedded thunderstorm, we'll experience that by Thursday. We have a cold front that we're tracking for that part of the week. But 70 degrees today for the afternoon high as we take a closer look at your afternoon planner. So we rise into the upper 60s as the day goes on and kind of top out right around 70. Rain chances will increase after about 1 or 2 to our north, becoming a little more prominent, shall we call it, around the metro area after 4, but still you could be dodging it depending on where you're going to be traveling throughout the afternoon and evening. So today's winds, they'll pick up a little bit. You might notice that breeze, especially given that it's only 70 for the afternoon high, putting just a little bite in the air, about 15 to 20 mile per hour gusts in the forecast for today. We'll have increasing clouds, even if you don't see that rain falling from the sky, but we can't rule out a light shower sprinkler or two around 2 o'clock north of M59. But then the models start to pull that a little farther south after 4 o'clock, and you get that passing shower around 6, 7 before it moves out of here by the time we get close to sunset, and drier conditions in store for your Wednesday. So as clouds begin to break tonight, we'll see temperatures slide even more. So the record low for this date is 47 degrees. We did not hit 47 this morning, even though some of the outlying areas were below that, but officially we have to be that at Metro Airport. Tonight we could fall to 49, likely hitting that right before daybreak tomorrow. So I don't think we break the overnight low for today, but we're in record territory nonetheless, and probably not the record you're looking for because some folks are still wanting to hold on to summer. We are still officially in the summer season, even though it doesn't feel like it. So average overnight lows this time of year 62, and we're nowhere near it over the next week. So we will be trending below average as the rest of the week goes on. High temperatures will be ticking upward just a little bit, but still below that average of 80 for the afternoon high. So 74 for your Wednesday, and then we get into the low 70s for the tail end of the week. Temperature outlook taking us through Labor Day and even beyond through that first weekend, really, of September. We will be below average. But what does below average mean? It might be only by a degree or two because that's a slightly below average look, and you're going to see that in the tail end of the 7-day forecast. But I do want to show you how that next main weather maker shapes up because we have that cold front sinking south. And so as it stands right now, I think we get some rain rolling in by Thursday afternoon, and afternoon evening hours, we can't rule out even a thunderstorm. But high pressure then will be following it, coming out of the north over the UP Friday, and that will push not only the rain out, but it's going to bring us drier conditions throughout the majority of your holiday weekend. We have high school football both Thursday and Friday, but with that rain I just showed you on Thursday, those 4 and 7 o'clock games could have a passing shower across portions of southeastern Michigan. So we will be on the cooler side with some rain, but drier conditions for Friday football across Metro Detroit. So just note that if you are heading to a Thursday game, you might need to pack that poncho. But otherwise, heading into the weekend, college football looking great, 74 degrees. We'll have partly cloudy skies, and then heading into Labor Day, we're at least flirting with 80.
The NFL preseason is in the books, and now the Lions are getting ready for their first game against the Packers. That also means they have to trim down the roster. By 4 o'clock this afternoon, only 53 players are allowed on the team. One player expected to be cut is veteran tackle and fan favorite Dan Skipper, according to Detroit Football Network. Reports also say the Lions are also releasing quarterback Hendon Hooker, who they drafted in the 3rd round in 2023. He had a tough preseason with 5 total turnovers and no touchdowns. Head coach Dan Campbell knows these decisions are never easy to make.
There's nothing easy about it, and it's worse on them than it is us. You know, I mean, it's hard on us, but you know, there's no woe is me here. So I feel sorry for those guys, but at the same token, what I would tell them, man, you use this as fuel and move on to the next step of this, whether it's another team or it's another shot at it. You know, whatever that is, man, attack the next day and don't let it shake your confidence.
Hobie's going to have everything you need to know later today. And in about 2 weeks, the Lions are heading across Lake Michigan to play the Green Bay Packers. We're going to take a break for a Local 4 news update. Then we're talking about the state of Detroit schools. The superintendent of Michigan's biggest school district is sharing what's working and where there are opportunities for improvement. I'm Will Jones with a Local 4 News update. The threat of a state shutdown is still more than a month away, but schools and families are still waiting to figure out how to budget for the school year that just started. Lawmakers failed to pass the state budget on July 1st. Both parties are pointing fingers at each other on who's to blame. Governor Gretchen Whitmer will be talking with the heads of two chambers to get the state budget moving. You can stream us right now on Local 4 Plus. Here's the stories we're covering this morning on Local 4 Live. Rhonda Walker joins me in studio next to talk about her conversation with the Detroit Public Schools superintendent. Then the best ways to keep your dogs calm. Did you know they apparently love screen time? We will dig into it. And a look back at some of the biggest investigations we've ever done here at Local 4. Ashley is back with a look at your forecast in just a few minutes. Keep it here.
From downtown Detroit, Local 4 Live starts right now.
I'm Will Jones. Thanks for staying tuned here on Local 4 Live. We're back with a live look over Detroit, and the new school year for nearly 50,000 DPSCD students are back in the classroom. We had a chance to speak with the superintendent here on Local 4 Live last week with the focus on the budget fight, and our Rhonda Walker joins us now. And Rhonda, you also spoke to him on how he's continuing to reshape the district.
Yeah, and we did cover the budget fight in Lansing, and he had some I'll call it maybe some choice words for how he feels about that process, still ongoing. So I'm going to share more about that. But he also, I had a chance to talk with Dr. Vitti and talk with him about the state of the district. He's now in his 8th year leading Detroit Public Schools Community District. And we talked about achievements that he hopes to build upon in this new school year, also the challenges that lie ahead, and results from a poll that we did. You'll remember during the mayoral debate, we did a poll among Detroit voters, and we asked many questions, but among those questions is whether or not the city of Detroit residents believe that the city is better, worse, or the same than it was 10 years ago. And then we also asked that question about DPSCD. Do you think that the Detroit public school system is better, worse, or the same? residents said the city of Detroit, 70% of them said the city of Detroit is better, while 50% of them said that they believe that DPSCD is worse.
Not good.
No. So Dr. Vitti, he shared how he felt about the poll when he initially heard it, and also wants to share with voters some things that they probably don't know about, and also some of the city residents that may not realize the strides that DPS is making, and that's part of our conversation.
When I first read the poll, when I first heard about the poll, it was a challenge. I was frustrated to say, wait a minute, how is Detroit not seeing the improvement? The reality is we have gotten better. We're not just telling our story. When you look at our employee surveying, when you look at our parent surveying and our student surveying, they're all moving in a higher direction.
Urban school education is different from suburban school education. How is it different?
Well, one, concentration of poverty, and that leads to more challenges that children face around trauma, around exposure to violence, around homelessness, around home insecurity, food insecurity. If you don't have your basic needs met, it's hard for you to reach your potential. So when children
But the expectation is that these kids still have to meet the same potential as the other kids.
And that's why the public school system is so important. Every child is talented, regardless of socioeconomic background. But it's the school system that gives everyone a chance. And this is why equal funding, equitable funding, and continuing to make this district better. And the other issue is the history of race. We can't ignore it. You know, structural racism still exists in this country, and it creates a disadvantage for our children. It's not an excuse, it's a reality.
But then it means you're teaching differently. It's not just academics, it's also this wraparound service.
Yeah, I think probably our best example of that is our health hubs.
9 health clinics within the schools, free for any student and their family members.
Last year, we served over 17,000 individuals throughout the city by providing them free access to primary medical care, dental screening, mental health support, which is significant, vision screenings and free eyeglasses, and our family resource centers, where we provide basic toiletries, help with eviction, maybe immigration, legal support.
And having those basic needs met means that those kids will be in the classroom. Sometimes the absenteeism is a consequence of things that are going on at home.
Absolutely.
All funded through philanthropic donations.
We dropped chronic absenteeism by 6 percentage points, improved average daily attendance.
Innovative improvement getting national attention among urban education experts.
It means a lot, having grown up in Metro Detroit, Detroit being a big part of my identity. It means something special to be able to do this job now, whether you look at grad rates, literacy rates, math rates, you know, number of kids going to college, number of kids having access to college and career-ready classes. We're back to running a system the way it should have been run.
Including boosting teacher salaries to retain and align with the suburbs.
When I started, we had over 400 teacher vacancies. Our beginning teachers were at 38,000 when I started. They're now at 55,000. You know, our most veteran teachers were at 68,000. They're now in the mid-90s.
Disparities still remain in state funding.
It can be anywhere from $60 million to $100 million a year. Our per pupil is $9,600, which is about the minimum. Those districts are in $11,000 per student. And that's based on a Michigan formula that's outdated, that disadvantages our kids. And the greatest area of disadvantage is funding teacher salaries and facilities.
Like city school buildings versus suburban.
You see that old building that hasn't been repaired, and you go through, you know, other parts of this outside of the city, and you see brand new football fields and, you know, these really nice buildings. It's because of the inequitable way states, Michigan fund schools.
So is that the answer then? If you can't change what's the formula, is it finding the funding somewhere else?
We shouldn't have to rely on philanthropy to get this right. This is 2025. All of our kids.
All right, Rhonda, let's talk about what he had to say about the state budget.
Okay, so as it relates to the state budget, he really echoed what other superintendents are saying. Basically, he's like, this is unimaginable, and that legislators need to do their job. He said he supports Governor Whitmer, but he also believes that she needs to intervene. And he said if the schools didn't complete their budget by June 1st, he said a whole army would be coming down on them. There'd be auditors coming in trying to get rid of board members. And he just says there's no accountability and that it just shouldn't be happening. And I know there's going to be a meeting taking place with Governor Whitmer that maybe might make a change with that. But these superintendents are frustrated. And he said, for DPS, because we're talking about different services and programs for the schools. He said for DPS, they have reserves. Believe it or not, they have reserves. They're prepared. They'll be able to continue services for these families. He said, but there are a lot of other districts, smaller districts especially, that could see cuts in programs. They may have to lay off teachers. They may see cuts in food programs, which he talked a lot about. So getting this done by that October 1st deadline is necessary. But also, the longer you wait, the more uncertainty that builds. And how does that affect the teachers and staff members and even families that are relying on certain programs that are in limbo potentially?
We'll be keeping a watch on Lansing to see if anything gets done, if there's any movement. There hasn't been a lot.
Yeah, I did want to share something else because we talked about absenteeism and a lot of changes that they've been making with DPS-CD. But the other area is academic performance and where are they academically as opposed to the state. And I think there's a study that's going to be coming out. Dr. Vitti alluded to it, but he wasn't able to share it yet. It's embargoed. That's going to show some academic improvement with Detroit Public Schools students, getting them closer to the state average as opposed to below, which is, of course, another benchmark is how well are the students doing academically. But he did want me to point out that Cass Technical High School and Renaissance, just a couple of schools in the district, are above the state average. So it is happening.
And you mentioned this in your story that in Detroit, there are different challenges than suburban districts in terms of family structure, jobs, homelessness that he has to deal with.
And it's remarkable that a school district has figured out a way to bridge some of those barriers just so that kids can show up at school and without some of the challenges that their families may be facing. They're well aware of that. They have like the United Way and some other nonprofit organizations that are providing, I think you mentioned the Balmer Group as well, that are providing millions of dollars in funding so that they can have these health hubs. They literally have health centers in schools that students and their families can come to for basic medical health care. You heard him mention vision, mental health. I mean, legal support, imagine the value of that families that are low income would never have access to or struggle to have access to. That could ultimately lead to them not being able to be in the classroom, So they're bridging that gap and they're doing that wraparound service because they know it's necessary in order for just the kids to be able to be kids and show up at school. And when you level that playing field, we know that kids in urban communities can succeed just as well as kids in suburban communities that may not have those challenges. You just have to bridge the gap of the challenges and make sure that kids at least have a level playing field to compete.
Was there anything in the conversation you had with the superintendent that surprised you?
I wouldn't say surprised me. I mean, I do spend a lot of time in the community. I work with a lot of Detroit Public Schools kids. I do a lot of mentoring with my own foundation, the Rhonda Walker Foundation. So I wouldn't say I was surprised, but I said to him, why do you think that City of Detroit residents don't know that these significant improvements have been made in the district? And that's what he was saying. He's like, you know what? I'm grinding. I always have my head down. I'm always working. And I realize, and I need to also make this aware to my principals, that we have to shout out and tell more about the successes and the progress that we're making. So whenever we hear DPS-CD, it isn't always something that's going wrong or something that needs to be fixed, but what are some of the things that are happening that are good in the district? So if they tell us the stories, we'll tell them, right?
Yeah, they have to work with us. So we'll be happy to highlight some positive things going on.
Exactly.
Well, I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Will. Thanks.
Drunk driving, destroying evidence, and faking police reports. It's the staggering findings we're getting into about 3 Hamtramck city leaders. And a live look at Selfridge Air Base, where some employees are working off-site today because of a concerning Legionnaire's disease case. We'll get into that after the break. Your news headlines now. Army and Air Force employees at Selfridge Air National Guard Base are working remotely as a precaution today after a confirmed case of Legionnaire's disease was reported at the base. Legionnaire's disease is a serious lung infection caused by inhaling contaminated water droplets. The worker is recovering after treatment and no additional cases have been found. Tests traced the bacteria to one building on the base. The facility is undergoing treatment and retesting. Now to Washtenaw County, where West Nile virus has been found in mosquitoes. Samples taken early this month in Ann Arbor, Ypsilanti Township, and Saline showed the presence of the virus. While no human cases have been reported locally, experts warn the virus is active in the area, so make sure you layer up on the mosquito spray if you're spending time outside. The State Board of Education is holding public interviews today for the 3 finalists looking to be the new state superintendent. They are Dr. Lisa Coons, the former Virginia State Superintendent of Public Instruction, Dr. Glenn Maleko, the Superintendent of Dearborn Public Schools, and Dr. Judy Walton, Superintendent and Curriculum Director for Harrison Community Schools. These finalists were chosen from a pool of 33 applicants. The board hopes to appoint the new superintendent at its September 9th meeting. State bridges are in trouble. That's the takeaway from a recent report by MDOT. It says more than 100 bridges could be closed in the next 10 years if they don't get the funding they need. In the metro area alone, 33 bridges are at risk of shutting down. This is because more than 2/3 of the bridges are more than 50 years old.
After a while, you can't do any more maintenance. You either have to rebuild the bridge or you shut it down. And if we don't have money to rebuild, then we close bridges because for the safety of drivers, again, on the road and underneath the road.
This comes as lawmakers are still fighting over the state budget, which includes road funding. If those delays keep going, MDOT could be forced to cut jobs, which could impact road conditions. An investigation into corruption allegations in Hamtramck could lead to 3 city employees getting fired tonight. We got our hands on a law firm's report on Police Chief Jamil Al-Tahiri, Officer David Ademichek, and City Manager Max Garbino. All 3 have been on leave since May over a misconduct investigation. Lauren Kosick is digging into the shocking details from drunk driving to fake police reports that could put them all out of a job.
Parts of this 59-page report are almost hard to believe. If you remember, a few months ago, the council and the mayor hired this private law firm to look into allegations after the city manager and the police chief were suspended. And they went through more than 670,000 documents and interviewed more than 40 witnesses. In the end, determining many of these allegations were true. Hamtramck City Council will decide the fate of 3 employees: Police Chief Jamil Al-Tahiri, City Manager Max Garbarino, and Officer David Ademichek. It comes after an independent investigation by law firm Miller Johnson. Investigators at Local 4 obtaining a copy of their report. It starts with the chief. The investigation found multiple incidents of Al-Tahiri driving drunk in his city-issued truck, including one instance where he drove to and from a strip club with officers. According to witnesses and video evidence, he activated his police lights while driving erratically and running red lights. And to make matters worse, the investigation also found Al-Tahiri attempted to cover up what happened by agreeing not to fire an officer in exchange for the video being deleted. Evidence also uncovered that the chief handed a loaded gun to a civilian volunteer and told her to put it to someone's head. Local 4 being sent audio of the incident.
Go put it in his head, tell him, give me a frame.
And it wasn't just at City Hall. The investigation also found at least 5 911 calls to Al-Tahiri's home in the span of a few months involving his partner. In one, officers responded to a 911 hang-up after hearing yelling in the background. A call Local 4 also obtained.
Hamtramck 911, where is the emergency?
The investigation found Al-Tahiri then pressured officers to lie on a police report to help him in a custody dispute. Evidence also found Al-Tahiri recovered this stolen car from a friend without following proper protocol and directed an evidence technician to wipe his phone minutes after being placed on leave. The 59-page report also looked into allegations against Officer Ademichek, finding evidence he used recordings of the chief for personal gain, attempted to rig a promotion, participated in the recovery of a stolen car, and lied about overtime. As for City Manager Max Garbarino, the investigation said he, quote, exercised significant poor judgment in his role as city manager, including rehiring Officer Ademchek and addressing allegations of misconduct. And tonight is when the law firm will present these findings to the City Council. Right now, the report does say there is enough evidence for the city to terminate all 3 employees, and I'll be at tonight's meeting to find out. In Hamtramck, Lauren Kostick, Local 4.
All right, thanks, Lauren. We did hear from Chief Al-Tahiri. In a statement from his attorney, Al-Tahiri said in part, quote, while I strongly dispute many of the conclusions drawn within it, I also understand the seriousness of the concerns raised. I am committed to working with the mayor, city council, and the city's legal team to address those concerns in a way that strengthens our department and the city. It might be time, oh no, to dig in your closet for that jacket. Ashley is tracking the chilly start to the day after the break. Now let's get a look at your weather forecast, taking a live look outside, a beautiful look at the city. It doesn't look like it, but it's pretty chilly outside. Let's get over to forewarned meteorologist Ashley Barcy. She's tracking the temperatures.
Now, forewarned weather with Exact Track 4D.
Well, as we take a look at the rest of the school week, as many districts are now back in session, we're still tracking a spotty rain chance this afternoon, just like yesterday. Isolated, kind of hit or miss, but we all will experience below average temperatures for the rest of the week. And as far as rain being more widespread, a bit more heavy, and maybe even an embedded thunderstorm, we'll experience that by Thursday. We have a cold front that we're tracking for that part of the week. But 70 degrees today for the afternoon high as we take a closer look at your afternoon planner. So we rise into the upper 60s as the day goes on and kind of top out right around 70. Rain chances will increase after about 1 or 2 to our north, becoming a little more prominent, shall we call it, around the metro area after 4, but still you could be dodging it depending on where you're going to be traveling throughout the afternoon and evening. So today's winds, they'll pick up a little bit. You might notice that breeze, especially given that it's only 70 for the afternoon high, putting just a little bite in the air, about 15 to 20 mile per hour gusts in the forecast for today. We'll have increasing clouds, even if you don't see that rain falling from the sky, but we can't rule out a light shower sprinkler to around 2 o'clock north of M59. But then the models start to pull that a little farther south after 4 o'clock, and you get that passing shower around 6, 7 before it moves out of here by the time we get close to sunset, and drier conditions in store for your Wednesday. So as clouds begin to break tonight, we'll see temperatures slide even more. So the record low for this date is 47 degrees. We did not hit 47 this morning, even though some of the outlying areas were below that, but officially we have to be that at Metro Airport. Tonight we could fall to 49, likely hitting that right before daybreak tomorrow. So I don't think we break the overnight low for today, but we're in record territory nonetheless, and probably not the record you're looking for because some folks are still wanting to hold on to summer. we are still officially in the summer season, even though it doesn't feel like it. So average overnight lows this time of year 62, and we're nowhere near it over the next week. So we will be trending below average as the rest of the week goes on. High temperatures will be ticking upward just a little bit, but still below that average of 80 for the afternoon high. So 74 for your Wednesday, and then we get into the low 70s for the tail end of the week. Temperature outlook taking us through Labor Day and even beyond through that first weekend, really, of September. We will be below average. But what does below average mean? It might be only by a degree or two, because that's a slightly below average look, and you're going to see that in the tail end of the 7-day forecast. But I do want to show you how that next main weather maker shapes up, because we have that cold front sinking south. And so as it stands right now, I think we get some rain rolling in by Thursday afternoon, and afternoon evening hours, we can't rule out even a thunderstorm. But high pressure then will be following it, coming out of the north over the UP Friday, and that will push not only the rain out, but it's going to bring us drier conditions throughout the majority of your holiday weekend. We have high school football both Thursday and Friday, but with that rain I just showed you on Thursday, those 4 and 7 o'clock games could have a passing shower across portions of southeastern Michigan. So we will be on the cooler side with some rain, but drier conditions for Friday football across Metro Detroit. So just note that if you are heading to a Thursday game, you might need to pack that poncho. But otherwise, heading into the weekend, college football looking great, 74 degrees. We'll have partly cloudy skies, and then heading into Labor Day, we're at least flirting with 80.
Like Ashley said, we can feel the fall in the air, and it's tailgating weather. We're back with the new spot Spartans will want to check out as football season kicks off. Welcome back. We're getting a look at some My Picks from our viewers. Jennifer from St. Clair Shores shared this one with us. It was the first day of school for her grandchildren. Take a look at them. Many families are getting back to school this week, and we love sharing your pictures to celebrate the first week. Scan the QR code on your screen, and it will take you to our website. Click on Detroit.com, where you can submit your pictures. You might get to see them on air. College football officially started last weekend. Michigan's teams still have a few more days to prepare. This weekend, Michigan State fans will have a new spot to tailgate. The Munn Tailgate, located just across from the Munn Ice Arena, will not just be a place to park. The tailgate will offer multiple bars and food options too. There's also the brand new 517 Beer Garden, which opens 4 hours before kickoff. The Spartans open the 2025 season Friday at 7 p.m. against Western Michigan. Much more ahead in our next hour, including a look at a program in Detroit that helps people stay on top of their water bills, how people can get involved in this payment plan. And then Cracker Barrel is backtracking on that new local that sparked a lot of controversy online, what the restaurant chain is doing after all the backlash. And later, did you know dogs like screen time too? We're chatting with a celebrity dog trainer this National Dog Day on the best ways to keep your pets calm. More news and weather in our next hour. Stay with us.
From downtown Detroit, Local 4 Live starts right now.
Welcome back to Local 4 Live. I'm Will Jones in for Nick Monticelli. A lot coming up for you in the next hour, including a milestone for a program that is helping Detroiters pay their water bills and get out of debt. It's called Easy Pay, and we're chatting with the city about how people can take advantage. Then a look back at some of the biggest investigations we've done here at Local 4. Karen Drew is joining me in studio to talk about the new documentary debuting tonight on Local 4 Plus. And then, did you know today is National Dog Day? We're chatting with a celebrity dog trainer about the best ways to keep your pets calm. Here's a hint, they enjoy some screen time just like we do. But first, let's get a look at your news headlines. The clock is ticking, just 35 days until a possible state government shutdown on October 1st. Today, pressure is growing in Lansing to get a budget deal done. Schools are warning they can only cover free lunches through the end of September, leaving families unsure how to plan for the school year that's already underway. Lawmakers failed to pass the state budget on July 1st. Now both parties are pointing fingers at each other on who's to blame. Governor Gretchen Whitmer will be talking with the heads of two chambers today to get the state budget moving. These are the two men charged in the deadly shooting at Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit. Mario Green is charged with first-degree murder. Police say he walked into the basement of the hospital and shot his ex-wife, Lutricia Green Brown. The second man, Anthony Barnett, is accused of helping Green get away from the scene. The search for Green lasted 17 hours. It came to an end when he was taken into custody early Saturday morning. This summer, the city of Detroit is reeling from violence involving children. There's been an increase in the number of young people, especially children, who are either victims or suspects in a crime. We're taking a look to see what's being done to turn kids away from violence and if it's working. Shantae Passmore is here now with how Detroit POW is stepping up to the plate.
Winning a child away from the streets, that's not something that can be done overnight. Right now, Detroit POW is playing the long game amid a surge in youth violence.
At the Corner Ballpark, a lot is on the line for the Detroit Police Athletic League. For CEO Fred Hunter, it's where kids can find their greatness.
Through sports, through enrichment programs, leadership programs, academic programs.
Detroit POW is best known for offering 12 sports programs. It's not so much about winning on the field as it is winning in life. The nonprofit says it tries to meet kids where they're at, whether it's help with literacy or empowerment, and the stakes couldn't be higher. DPD reports recent data shows a 33% increase in young victims of gun violence compared to the same period last year. Additionally, instances of young people under 17 caught with guns are up nearly 20%. In uniform, Elijah Willis can escape violence.
Is that tough as a kid coming up, being exposed to that kind of violence?
It can be tough because you don't know where to run to for people who doesn't have fathers in their lives, for people who doesn't have mothers. So it's more like you don't know where to go.
While POW may provide an outlet, the real question, is it working?
It's known that during the school time, the after school time, so you're looking at 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. are when most crimes are committed.
If you want to look at another stat, Sergeant Bryant George points to himself.
At the tender age of 13, which is a lot for a young person to take in, you had to make some critical choices that kind of shaped where you're at today. What did that look like?
You know, I grew up on the west side, the Joe Road and Illinois area in 48204. During that time, it was high crime, high gang, high drugs in my neighborhood. Every single day, I had to make a choice, you know. Do you stay on this really, really good path in life? Or do you choose these negative choices?
George knew he'd be an officer after becoming a POW kid. He says he knows exactly what these students are navigating once the game is over. He's seen violence erupt following beef between kids. His message:
please, in any type of beef, any type of disagreement, any type of conflict, we're asking them to be the bigger persons and walk away.
Which can be hard.
It can be hard, but it can be done, right? You have to make that choice. Do I want to live to see another day, or do I want to take the risk of dying today?
It's hard, but it can be done, and this is pretty amazing. Listen to this. Detroit PAL tells us it serves more than 9,000 kids, and while that's a big number, there are over 120,000 kids living in the city of Detroit. It wants to reach more of them, and it hopes that more partners will help them in that quest. Meanwhile, it also points that research here in Michigan shows 2 out of 3 kids don't have access to programs like this. We're in Corktown. I'm Shantae Passmore, Local 4.
A live look at the White House now as President Donald Trump says he fired Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook. Trump, in a post online, cites alleged mortgage fraud, which the Justice Department is reviewing. Cook, who has not been charged with any crime, disputes the move, saying the president does not have the authority to remove her and that she plans to remain in her role. The law states Fed governors can only be removed for cause, but that term isn't clearly defined. Legal experts expect the matter to be decided in court. Meanwhile, Israel's security cabinet is set to meet this afternoon to discuss the country's planned assault on Gaza City. This coming as protesters in Israel grow as they call for the release of the hostages and the end to the war in Gaza. Right now, it's unclear if a 60-day ceasefire proposal, which Hamas accepted last week, will be discussed. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says he will only consider a deal to end the war and free all hostages under Israel's terms. About 50 hostages remain in Gaza. 20 of them are believed to be alive. The city of Detroit is marking a milestone for a program that helps people pay their water bills. It's been nearly a year since the Detroit Water and Sewerage Department launched an Easy Pay. The idea is to help people who have fallen behind on their bills and help them become debt-free in 3 years. It takes a $10 payment to get started, and after that, people pay their regular monthly bill plus a small installment on what they owe. Today, the city says about 34,000 accounts are enrolled in the program. We're joined now by Gary Brown, the director of the Detroit Water and Sewerage Department. Good morning, Gary.
Well, thanks for having me this morning.
So tell me about how this program came about and how it's working.
Yeah, we've always had phenomenal programs for our low-income customers, the customers that are below the poverty line. But this is not one of them. This program is for everybody, whether you're a residential customer, whether you're commercial, industrial, whether you're a nonprofit or a church. Everybody qualifies for this program. There's no income qualification whatsoever. And the reason we call it Easy Pay is because it only takes $10 to get into the program, and then we can get you set up on a path to get rid of all of your past, your past arrears.
How did it come about?
Yeah, it came about out of a need. We saw a need for customers who make a lot of money, but life gets in the way. Sometimes a family member dies, sometimes a family member loses a job, life gets in the way, and they just need a little help, a little time to get back on track, and Easy Pay does that. There's no income restrictions, as I said earlier. There's no additional fees. There's no interest on the money. And anyone with a past due balance can enroll into this program.
How challenging was it to get the word about this program, that it exists and people should take advantage of it?
Yeah, it is challenging because, again, we target our low-income customers that are below the poverty line. We know who they are. We go directly to them. But again, this is getting the word out to more than 240,000 account holders that we have a program for you also. And the program's just been hugely successful. We have, to get 34,000 people enrolled in just under a year is phenomenal. To have a 70% success rate, and 10% of the customers that get into this program actually have already paid their debt off. So it doesn't take them 3 years. They just needed a program that was easy, that was affordable, and allows them to get back on track. And once they're in the program, again, they enjoy shut-off protection. They cannot be shut off as long as you're in this program.
And just talk about where would the department be and Detroiters be without a program like this?
Yeah, well, we'd have probably 30% of our customers not able to pay their bills, whether they're low income or not. And that bad debt, when we have that much bad debt, it gets passed into rates next year. And that makes water unaffordable for everybody. And so I'm proud to say the last 10 years, we've kept our rates down on an average of 2.9% for 10 years. And we're able to do that because of our collection rate. So this program, along with other programs, keeps the collection rate high enough to be able to give Detroiters a low rate in the following year.
So how many more people are out there who can take advantage of this program and maybe just not know it?
Yeah, well, I'd like to see us get to 50,000 by by this time next year. I think there's still a ways to go. That people, have lost a job. They may be in between jobs. Again, sometimes a family member that is the income, the breadwinner, dies in a family, and things have to be adjusted. Life gets in the way, and Detroiters, once you give them a bill that they can afford to pay, they pay it. And so this is a way to give even our high income earners who may have gotten off track an opportunity to get back on track. And more importantly, every single Detroiter has an opportunity not to see a service interruption if they simply call us, get into the program, put $10 down. That's all it takes, $10 down. You'll get your normal monthly bill. In Detroit, the average is $88. And then we'll split up your arrears by 36 months. And so that gives people hope. Now they see an opportunity to get out from under this debt, and they're actually paying their bills. So we want as many people in the city of Detroit that are challenged with paying their water bill because they have past due arrears to enroll in this program and get back on track.
All right, appreciate it. Gary Brown, thanks a lot. Hopefully Detroiters take advantage of this program. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Tonight at 8, we're turning the spotlight on our own investigators. From exclusive interviews to undercover work, we're giving you a look at some of our biggest investigations over the decade. Coming up, Karen Drew joins us for a preview of tonight's documentary. It's premiere week here on Local 4 Plus. We hope you caught some of our new food show, Carlos Eats Detroit. Last night, food influencer Carlos Parisi takes us to some of his favorite spots in Metro Detroit. If you missed it, it's streaming on demand on Local 4 Plus and YouTube. Tonight at 8, we're focusing on the backstory of the investigators here at Local 4. We're looking into some of the biggest investigations we've ever done over the years. Investigator Karen Drew is here with me to talk about the documentary, and we know you do a lot of investigations you've done.
I've been here a bit.
Yeah.
I've been here a minute. I have. And you've done some great stuff too, investigative-wise. And I think that we are really trying to shine a light on kind of the legacy of our station, of what we have done, what we've built, showing what we're working on. But what I really am excited about is we've never, ever done this where we actually explain how the tips work, how we set up surveillance, how we plan the confrontation, how we get the documents, and we kind of put all those pieces of the puzzle together, and we go through decade by decade and show you how we got these stories. And normally, you know, like I said, normally reporters don't reveal all that, but I think it's I think everyone always is like, you know, how was the sausage made? So that's kind of what we're diving into.
And investigative work differs a little bit from general assignment daily reporting. You have to do a lot of digging, researching information, holding people accountable, you know. You said surveillance, hanging out in places and jumping out of the vehicle for people who you try to reach out to and say, hey, can you do an interview? And they're not responding, so you just have to show up.
You do have to show up sometimes, and hopefully by the time that you've shown up, and we talk about this in this backstory documentary, it's not just about jumping out of a vehicle, because by then you've gathered the facts, you've got the information, you've checked with our own attorneys to make sure that, you know, we're good to go on this, and you already have prepared that first question, second, and third. So you already know. One of the stories that we show is this one confrontation where I literally chased this guy down Main Street in Rochester Hills. Like, we knew he was going to run.
And you're a runner, so you're prepared. So anyone who tries to outrun Karen, you're not going to do it.
And I had heels on. I want to brag on that. But yeah, we knew he was going to run. There was 3 different doors. We had all 3 doors covered, and we kind of take you behind the planning process of, okay, this is what he, you know, was doing. These were the victims, and this is how we hold folks accountable. And a lot of this, too, is, you know, we dive into the fact that, you know, I don't want to say it's easy, because it's not, to find someone and confront them, but we don't stop there. We go to the next level. Okay, so now what do we do? Do we bring this to lawmakers? Do we bring this to an agency? Where do we bring change? Where do we bring accountability? Where do we get results? And so we've got a lot of examples of that. We talk about murders, the Bob Bashara case. That got a lot of attention, and we had a lot of reporters working on that. There's this one time that, and if anybody knows that case, the Grosse Pointe man who was sentenced for murdering his wife, Jane, and the handyman admits later, you know, that he was the one that killed Jane. But what got us to that admission was an interview. Mark Santia, he's in New York now with NBC, but he worked with us, and he actually met him in this like location in Roseville, and he kind of, you know what? We've got a clip. Okay. I feel like we're in a movie. We've got a clip. Let's show. There's a section of the story that I want to share, and then I'll explain it more. So if we can roll tape, that'd be good.
And so I called Steve, and you could tell like there was something just weighing on him, weighing on his shoulders. And he's like, I have a friend. His name is Joe. His name's Joe Gentz, and he knows something about this case. He knows something about Bob Bashara. He wants to talk. He wants someone to listen to him. And I'm like, I'll listen, no problem. He said, Joe's been through a lot. He was in custody. He talked to police. He wants to talk to you. But we don't think we're going to do it on camera. He just wants to have a discussion. I'm like, no problem. We'll sit down, whatever he wants to do. Hey, there's a public location near Gratiot and 696. Why don't we go inside and we'll just talk? Nothing recorded. Maybe I'll take some notes. We'll just kind of chat and see where you're at. So they're like, okay, great. So it was going to be Joe Gentz and Joe's friend. They were going to meet me. And I said, well, I'm going to bring a retired Detroit police lieutenant, Tom Berry, with me. Like, I'm not going to go alone.
And to meet some guy that apparently killed somebody.
I'm not going to go alone. Yeah. And I want to go with someone who knows how to sort of talk to people and understands an investigation. So we sat down and just talked. And Joe was imposing. Like, he was tall, taller than me.
He's a big guy, yeah.
I just remember his shoulders being like, the weight of the world, Karen, was on his shoulders. Like, he just wanted to talk, and he just wanted someone to listen. How did you meet Bob? How did this come about? What happened? And, you know, he was adamant. He was holding on to a story that, you know, Bob told me he had a deadline and I had to do this. And
when you mean this, you mean kill Jane. Like, how did it first start? Like, do you remember what he said? He's like, I want to tell you I killed Jane. Like,
he was more talking about Bob Bashara.
He wanted to share his relationship with Bob more and what Bob made him do.
He said Bob Bashara has connections. Bob Bashara knows people. Bob Bashara can hurt me. And he was very, very frightened of Bob.
Wow.
Can you imagine someone says, I've killed someone, but I want to tell you more, come in my van.
Exactly.
Tia goes in his van. And we never get the chance to say the backstory of our stories. There's one example too, there was a program that was allowed with Detroit Police where they actually allowed officers to play basketball on the job. And at the time we had like the #1 murder rate, we had high crime, we had all of this going on. Officers probably should be patrolling the streets. And we got a tip, and I kind of go through that of how we got the tip, how we did the surveillance. We followed them to Canada, we followed them to Puerto Rico.
Wow.
Yeah, I had my little brown wig on. And how we were able to get the surveillance and how we were able to get the audio and put that story together. So it's a unique perspective of reporting, especially investigative reporting, on how we get these stories, how we put them together. And then also looking at current stories too. You know, we dive into Vista Maria, we dive into the scandal in Hamtramck in terms of tipsters there. So I think it's unique. I always don't you like a behind the scenes?
Exactly.
I mean, I think if you're a reporter, you always are like, oh, how did they do that?
And I'm always curious about you because you're always on the move. You're anchoring 2 shows and you're doing a lot of investigative work, going out into the community, trying to get answers for the public, and you're not accepting no for an answer.
No. You know what, we dive into this too. If we're going to put some time and attention into someone, a controversy, something that needs to be exposed, it's not a sensational thing. It is an issue that's going to affect a lot of people. It's going to be a waste of taxpayer dollars. It's going to be equipment that doesn't work. It's going to be a program that takes advantage of people who are down on their luck. And so we have to, that's our job. And I think as we take a look at media and the changing landscape of how media is seen, and I say this to a lot of people, like, do you realize you have this like free agency working for you? You have like a free investigative team that's going to go and dive and dig and ask questions. And, you know, we're many times that voice for the voiceless. We're the people that are going to show up and put in the time and go to the meetings and get the documents and put the Freedom of Information Act request in. It's a big responsibility. So I'm excited to show how it all works.
Appreciate your time, Karen, and keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Again, Backstory, The Investigators airs tonight at 8 on Local 4 Plus and clickondetroit.com. Then tomorrow, it's Table 4. You can join Dennis Archer Jr. as he brings together people who live in, work in, or have significant ties to Detroit. And on Thursday and Friday, it's the beginning of high school football, and you can watch it here at 4 and 7. It's State Games, Game Time Live, delivered by Hungry Howie's Amazon Prep Kickoff Classic. Much of Arizona cleaned up today after a massive dust storm swept across Metro Phoenix. The impact left by the wall of dust that left people in the dark. Here's something you definitely don't see every day. Crews across Metro Phoenix are cleaning up after a massive dust storm swept through the city. You can see the wall of dust in this video on the edge of Phoenix yesterday before sweeping through. Experts say the storm caused roads to have a near zero visibility, snapped trees, damaged buildings, and knocked out power to nearly 60,000 people. City officials say the work to restore service is still underway today. Let's get over to Ashley now.
Now, forewarned weather with Exact Track 4D.
Well, as we take a look at the rest of the school week, as many districts are now back in session, we're still tracking a spotty rain chance this afternoon, just like yesterday. Isolated, kind of hit or miss, but we all will experience below average temperatures for the rest of the week. And as far as rain being more widespread, a bit more heavy, and maybe even an embedded thunderstorm, we'll experience that by Thursday. We have a cold front that we're tracking for that part of the week. But 70 degrees today for the afternoon high as we take a closer look at your afternoon planner. So we rise into the upper 60s as the day goes on and kind of top out right around 70. Rain chances will increase after about 1 or 2 to our north, becoming a little more prominent, shall we call it, around the metro area after 4, but still you could be dodging it depending on where you're going to be traveling throughout the afternoon and evening. So today's winds, they'll pick up a little bit. You might notice that breeze, especially given that it's only 70 for the afternoon high, putting just a little bite in the air, about 15 to 20 mile per hour gusts in the forecast for today. We'll have increasing clouds, even if you don't see that rain falling from the sky, but we can't rule out a light shower, sprinkler or two around 2 o'clock north of M59. But then the models start to pull that a little farther south after 4 o'clock, and you get that passing shower around 6, 7 before it moves out of here by the time we get close to sunset, and drier conditions in store for your Wednesday. So as clouds begin to break tonight, we'll see temperatures slide even more. So the record low for this date is 47 degrees. We did not hit 47 this morning, even though some of the outlying areas were below that, but officially we have to be that at Metro Airport. Tonight we could fall to 49, likely hitting that right before daybreak tomorrow. So I don't think we break the overnight low for today, but we're in record territory nonetheless, and probably not the record you're looking for because some folks are still wanting to hold on to summer. We are still officially in the summer season, even though it doesn't feel like it. So average overnight lows this time of year 62, and we're nowhere near it over the next week. So we will be trending below average as the rest of the week goes on. High temperatures will be ticking upward just a little bit, but still below that average of 80 for the afternoon high. So 74 for your Wednesday, and then we get into the low 70s for the tail end of the week. Temperature outlook taking us through Labor Day and even beyond through that first weekend, really, of September. We will be below average. But what does below average mean? It might be only by a degree or two because that's a slightly below average look, and you're going to see that in the tail end of the 7-day forecast. But I do want to show you how that next main weather maker shapes up because we have that cold front sinking south. And so as it stands right now, I think we get some rain rolling in by Thursday afternoon, and afternoon evening hours, we can't rule out even a thunderstorm. But high pressure then will be following it, coming out of the north over the UP Friday, and that will push not only the rain out, but it's going to bring us drier conditions throughout the majority of your holiday weekend. We have high school football both Thursday and Friday, but with that rain I just showed you on Thursday, those 4 and 7 o'clock games could have a passing shower across portions of southeastern Michigan. So we will be on the cooler side with some rain, but drier conditions for Friday football across Metro Detroit. So just note that if you are heading to a Thursday game, you might need to pack that poncho. But otherwise, heading into the weekend, college football looking great, 74 degrees. We'll have partly cloudy skies, and then heading into Labor Day, we're at least flirting with 80.
Coming up, have you seen the debate online over the new Cracker Barrel logo? Some people were not happy, and now the company is backtracking. We will tell you what they're saying about it. Cracker Barrel is backtracking after a new logo sparked outrage and a stock drop. The country-themed restaurant chain unveiled a minimalist design last week without its famous barrel or seated figure. Critics slammed the move, and the company's stock fell more than 12% in a single day. Cracker Barrel says Uncle Herschel will still appear on menus, road signs, and inside stores. The change comes as part of a $700 million rebranding effort that includes new ads, a revamped menu, and fresh fall items. Today is the day pumpkin spice latte season officially kicks off at Starbucks. First introduced in 2003, the PSL, as fans call it, has become a late summer rite of passage as people look for signs of fall. Starbucks says it's the company's most popular seasonal beverage and it's available hot, iced, or blended. The full fall menu is also being unveiled today and will include new items like a pecan oat milk cortado, a pumpkin cream cheese muffin, and a raccoon cake pop. Don't worry, staple favorites like the pumpkin cream cold brew and iced pumpkin cream chai are also back. When life gets stressful, most of us reach for our phones or turn on the TV to escape for a while, but you know, our dogs may do the same thing. With National Dog Day here, new research is shedding light on how screens can actually help keep pets relaxed. We're talking with an expert to explain what it means for you and your four-legged friends.
From downtown Detroit, Local 4 Live starts right now.
Welcome back to Local 4 Live. I'm Will Jones, in for Nick Monticelli, and thank you for watching. Here's a question. If you're stressed or need a break from reality, how many of you turn to your phone or the TV to distract you for a bit? Apparently dogs do that too. Well, today is National Dog Day, so we wanted to look into some new research that may help pet owners keep their dogs calm. Chrissy Joy is a celebrity dog trainer and educator who has been featured on The Tonight Show, People, and Access Hollywood. She joins us now. Good morning, Chrissy, and who's that with you?
His name is Whidbey. He is from The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. He also goes by the nickname Kevin Bacon because he loves to dance.
Oh, wow. So tell me about dogs love screen time. I mean, I've come home from work and seen my dog. My wife is watching TV and it looks like my dog is paying attention as well.
You know, it's such an interesting fact. You know, some dogs will watch TV and some they go, oh, my dog doesn't really see it. But you know, there is a true, there's actually a study that was just done that 89% of dogs have more likely a chance to look at the screen if it's something that they recognize, right? A squirrel, another dog, an animal. But the coolest thing that so as being a dog trainer, enrichment is a big deal for me. So mental enrichment, physical enrichment. When I discovered Dog TV, which is such an easy app you can download. And by the way, I looked this up just for you guys today because it's National Dog Day. It's only $24 for the year. So skip a couple cups of coffee and have your dog have a lot of fun. This is the coolest part. You know, when I first opened it up, I was like, this is really weird. Like, what's wrong with my TV? It looks like you don't have your 3D glasses on. Like, it looks kind of odd in the way it's projected. However, I learned that it's actually been color coded so your dog can see it because dogs can see blue, yellow, and shades of purple. So it's actually tailored so that your dog can watch the show. So not only are they able to see the actual animals and other things going on, it's also been proven to help promote calmness and to also be a safe space to expose dogs to new sounds and new things that otherwise they may not have a chance to go and enjoy.
So if you're leaving for the workday, is this something that you should leave on all day for your dogs?
I would, I would start it with you in the home and leave it on, because that way they don't always pair it like, uh-oh, mom's leaving. But I would absolutely leave it on while you leave. There's playlists on there that are calming playlists. I guess he has no problem doing that. But there are calming music and playlists. A lot of times it's classical music, because they find that is really one of the types of music that helps promote the calmness. And so there's wonderful programs, dogs hiking on the beach, dogs doing tricks. Actually, they have a person there who literally talks to the screen so that the dog doesn't feel so alone. And I think it's just a wonderful way that you can work it into your plan of keeping your dog happy and healthy. But let's not forget, it's not just about turning on the TV. If you are going to leave your dog for the day, be sure to exercise them before you leave the house. Make sure you give them proper exercise. A tired dog is going to be a better dog to relax. And my favorite is if you're still feeding from a bowl. That is so 1990, which I still love the 90s, don't get me wrong. But but there are amazing things like puzzle toys. I like how I just brought that in there, which is really wonderful. You can put their food in here, and then they have to learn to roll it to get the food out, or things that move around the home. So you can put them in here, they can move it around the house, and then think about it. That's like a good 20 minutes or so of them burning all this physical and mental energy. And that allows you to maybe set it down, get out of the house, and they also burn some energy at the same time while eating their breakfast.
What are some warning signs of anxiety that pet owners should be paying attention to?
Absolutely. And this goes really hand in hand with being safe around children too. A lot of signs are missed, and that's why we have bite cases that, honestly, it was the dog trying to send all these signals. So anxiety presents itself in many ways. Dogs will go off their food. You may see excessive yawning. You may see drooling or heavy panting, pacing around the home. You'll also notice if your dog has anxiety, because they'll start to pick up on your cues before you leave the house. You put your shoes on, you grab your keys, you have the same routine typically. And so they start to pick up on that, and you might notice they're clinging to you, they're trying to jump on you, they're panting a lot, they're following you around because they know what's coming. So it actually helps for you to change your routine when you leave in the morning, and don't always have it be the same exact thing every time. But that's a really great way to kind of keep an eye out, but if you have a dog that's, let's say, too much and is actually injuring themselves at this point, I always suggest you go to a veterinarian or a professional dog trainer and have that person work with you one-on-one to really find out where this is coming from.
And how do you reassure your dog if your dog has anxiety? Let's just say you're about to walk
this
up
is
the
an
door.
interesting. Yeah, it's an interesting case, because some people say, oh, don't coddle your dog. You're actually teaching them that it's okay to be nervous when you go, yeah, it's okay. Come here, come here, come here. Sometimes people will say, oh, it's like you're teaching them that it's okay to be nervous. Now, I see two sides to that. I absolutely believe you need to be there for your dog when they're nervous and when they're scared. I think leaving them alone, having them, just sink or swim is not going to always help the situation. But I think you should be there to encourage them that it's okay, but you should also do something active to disrupt the cycle of anxiety, just like you would do for a person, is that you want to disrupt that cycle. So take them out for a walk, do a little trick training. I have online courses if you want to learn. All sorts of other things. Give them a puzzle toy. Let's disrupt that behavior so that we can turn what was a negative into a positive.
And my last question is, with kids, they say don't give too much screen time. Is that the same for dogs? Too much?
I would say if you see that your dog is showing any kind of, let's say, obsessive compulsive behavior. I know that some of us binge watch our favorite shows and that can seem a little bit the same way. But, we don't want our dogs to overreact to the screen or become like they're pushing up on your beautiful LED screen. We want to watch out for those signs. But the beautiful about dog TV is dog TV does not create content that's meant to make your dog amp up and go crazy. It's all very calming. It's all meant to calm them, give them something to watch, and blend it with calm, and use people and animals and the colors that they can see to create a really nice experience that's not supposed to be doorbells and the FedEx guy showing up. And, the goal is not to make the dog over, stimulated by the screen.
Yeah, because right now I'm already battling my wife to watch the TV. We only have one TV in our household. I can't imagine adding the dog to the mix.
Yeah, he's gonna have his favorite programs. You're gonna have to build that in. It's just the way it is.
I appreciate your time. Very good information that I'm gonna take home and use as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. Have a great day and happy National Dog Day.
Yeah, same to you. Take care. In honor of National Dog Day, we want to see your furry four-legged family members, so snap a picture of your pup and send it to our My Pics. We may show some of them on air later in the show. Maybe I can get my dog in as well. When we get back, we're going to go over some of your top headlines, including the ways Wall Street could be working to fix yesterday's mixed close to the stock market. The stock market is now open for trading. Let's take a live look at the big board right now. Investors will be looking for ways to reverse Monday's slide across all three major indices when trading kicks off later this morning. The Dow dropped 349 points, the Nasdaq gave up 47 points, and the S&P 500 shed 27 points. Looking live at the nation's capital, where President Trump signed an executive order to eliminate cashless bail. The order threatens federal funding if cities don't change their cashless bail policies. Cashless bail allows defendants waiting for a hearing or trial to get released without putting up the money. Some believe it prevents discrimination against people who can't afford bail, but the Trump administration says it's too soft on crime. The order is focused on Washington, D.C. for now. In Michigan, there is no statewide bail reform. Michigan's Attorney General is taking aim at DTE's massive rate hike proposal. The utility company wants to raise your bill by 11%. That's $500 million, just months after a $217 million rate hike already went into effect. But Dana Nessel is fighting back, calling for a 70% rate cut. She says most of the proposed hike won't even improve service and only increases profits for the company. However, DTE says the increase would fund critical infrastructure upgrades and keep power reliable. You might remember I sat down with AG, Nick Monticelli did, AG Nessel back in June after this rate hike was first proposed. Many kids in Metro Detroit are now officially back in the swing of the school year, and recently our Rhonda Walker gathered a group of teachers to give advice to parents and students. They talked about everything from respect to cell phones to what parents should do before kids step foot into a classroom. All week we want to bring you some of that conversation. Take a look.
And how about how parents communicate with you as their teacher or with administrators?
Yeah, be communicative, reach out to us, but also it's our job to reach out to them too. So when we do reach out, I would say try to respond. We know that you're busy. We completely understand. But like I said, we're all on the same team and we want to help your child. So when we do reach out, if you can, get back with your teachers, have a discussion. Even if it's a hard discussion, have that discussion, because it really all boils down to looking out for what's best for our kids. And usually a short discussion can fix anything that we need, that we have a problem with or that you might need to speak to us about. So yeah, just that open line of communication and being communicative, because we definitely try that, on our end to make sure that we're reaching as many parents as we can. So if you can help us on that end, that would be so great.
Be responsive, answer those emails.
Yes, please. Yes.
And also, I like what you said. Did you call it we're a learning family, to kind of think of it that way?
Yeah.
That we're all in this together.
Yes, if you can. I tell my students that too. We're your school family, and then you have your family at home. So we really are working together. We have to work together. And I think that's the biggest thing, So if we can just get into that mindset, then that's the way to get a positive year going.
Lynn, you have the most experience here at the table.
I think I do.
And I also thought your responses were some of the most unique ones as well. So when you think about your most important message to parents, you came at it from some different angles. And one of them was just about kind of creating that, I guess, I'm trying to think of what you called it. Well, let's wait. So I'll start over. Lynn, Lynn, you have the most experience at 40 years. And I'm sure you've seen technology start to really become a major issue.
I didn't even have a dial-up phone in my first classroom. Wow. Send kids with notes to the office.
And specifically talking with parents about screen time, and you have this suggestion for it.
Oh, and this I heard from a workshop when my own children were young. And I told my kids they could watch as much, back then it was just TV as they wanted, but they had to read. The first day they could watch as much TV as they wanted, but going forward, however many minutes, hours they read was how much screen time they earned. And so if they read 5 hours, they could watch 5 hours of TV. If they only read for half an hour, the screen went on for half an hour. When they were older, and this is parenting advice coming from a parent, we had the bedroom for the phone, which was in the kitchen. And everybody, my husband and I included, plugged our phones in at 10 o'clock at night in the kitchen. And then after one of the kids snuck down, we plugged them in our bedroom at night.
And that'll do it.
Because that way they just weren't tempted to get on their phones. And that helps with some of the social anxiety too, because my kids are a little older, so we didn't have quite as much of trouble with the texting and some of the bullying that happens. But it happens after midnight. And if they aren't on their phones and they're not on their computers, they can't participate one way or the other. When we were all kids, even if school was tough for you, when you left and went home, that was mostly a safe space. Right. And our kids now don't have that. Right. They do not. And that's one of the biggest changes I've seen over the last 40 years.
Well, and I'll just piggyback for 30 seconds. One of the things we started doing last year, the English department at our school, we made a pact at the beginning that we would all use these phone caddies. Because if you're the only one doing it, kids would be like, well, this person doesn't. Well, Miss Walker doesn't make us put it away, so why should we, don't you want to be cool like Miss Walker? No, I stopped being cool years ago. I don't care, So we put them on the wall and they put their phones up unless you need them for something. I'm like, okay, today you're going to need the phones for this. And honestly, I'd say a vast majority of the kids are relieved. They're relieved to be disconnected where they don't have to, because and I do the same thing. If my phone buzzes, I'm tempted to look. Right. And they're just so connected to that whole idea. But then when you disconnect them, they're allowed to be present in the classroom. And I think that's been one of the greatest things that we did in the last couple of years, is relieving them of the pressure of having to respond to their phones and just letting them be present in the classroom.
What a great conversation. Learned a lot. We will be bringing you more advice from the teachers all week here on Local 4 Live, or you can watch the full discussion right now on our YouTube page. Well, the bad news is you didn't win the big Powerball jackpot last night. The good news is no one did. We will tell you how high the pot is now. If you haven't checked your Powerball tickets yet, no need to rush. There were no jackpot winning tickets sold for Monday night's drawing. Here's a look at the numbers. Wednesday's jackpot is currently a whopping $815 million, which is the 7th largest prize in Powerball history. The cash option is $367 million. Don't throw your tickets away yet. One $50,000 winning ticket was sold in Michigan. Hey, Ashley.
Now, forewarned weather with Exact Track 4D.
Well, as we take a look at the rest of the school week, as many districts are now back in session, we're still tracking a spotty rain chance this afternoon, just like yesterday. Isolated, kind of hit or miss, but we all will experience below average temperatures for the rest of the week. And as far as rain being more widespread, a bit more heavy, and maybe even an embedded thunderstorm, we'll experience that by Thursday. We have a cold front that we're tracking for that part of the week. But 70 degrees today for the afternoon high as we take a closer look at your afternoon planner. So we rise into the upper 60s as the day goes on and kind of top out right around 70. Rain chances will increase after about 1 or 2 to our north, becoming a little more prominent, shall we call it, around the metro area after 4, but still you could be dodging it depending on where you're going to be traveling throughout the afternoon and evening. So today's winds, they'll pick up a little bit. You might notice that breeze, especially given that it's only 70 for the afternoon high, putting just a little bite in the air, about 15 to 20 mile per hour gusts in the forecast for today. We'll have increasing clouds, even if you don't see that rain falling from the sky, but we can't rule out a light shower, sprinkler or two around 2 o'clock north of M59. But then the models start to pull that a little farther south after 4 o'clock, and you get that passing shower around 6, 7 before it moves out of here by the time we get close to sunset, and drier conditions in store for your Wednesday. So as clouds begin to break tonight, we'll see temperatures slide even more. So the record low for this date is 47 degrees. We did not hit 47 this morning, even though some of the outlying areas were below that, but officially we have to be that at Metro Airport. Tonight we could fall to 49, likely hitting that right before daybreak tomorrow. So I don't think we break the overnight low for today, but we're in record territory nonetheless, and probably not the record you're looking for because some folks are still wanting to hold on to summer. We are still officially in the summer season, even though it doesn't feel like it. So average overnight lows this time of year 62, and we're nowhere near it over the next week. So we will be trending below average as the rest of the week goes on. High temperatures will be ticking upward just a little bit, but still below that average of 80 for the afternoon high. So 74 for your Wednesday, and then we get into the low 70s for the tail end of the week. Temperature outlook taking us through Labor Day and even beyond through that first weekend, really, of September. We will be below average. But what does below average mean? It might be only by a degree or two because that's a slightly below average look, and you're going to see that in the tail end of the 7-day forecast. But I do want to show you how that next main weather maker shapes up because we have that cold front sinking south. And so as it stands right now, I think we get some rain rolling in by Thursday afternoon, and afternoon evening hours, we can't rule out even a thunderstorm. But high pressure then will be following it, coming out of the north over the UP Friday, and that will push not only the rain out, but it's going to bring us drier conditions throughout the majority of your holiday weekend. We have high school football both Thursday and Friday, but with that rain I just showed you on Thursday, those 4 and 7 o'clock games could have a passing shower across portions of southeastern Michigan. So we will be on the cooler side with some rain, but drier conditions for Friday football across Metro Detroit. So just note that if you are heading to a Thursday game, you might need to pack that poncho. But otherwise, heading into the weekend, college football looking great, 74 degrees. We'll have partly cloudy skies, and then heading into Labor Day, we're at least flirting with 80.
All right, thank you, Ashley. When we're back, we're checking in with Tati from Live in the D to talk about what's going on the show. In honor of National Dog Day, we have a couple My Picks to share. We have Chris showing her dogs, Bella and Junior. Let's take a look at another one. Victor is showing his lazy dog, Sadie. And last but not least, Jerome is showing his favorite friend, Teddy Archibald, wishing everyone a happy National Dog Day. Anyone could submit these types of photos under the My Picks tab on clickondetroit.com. We have so much more coming up throughout the day here on Local 4. Tati is here from Live in the D to talk about what's coming up.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
How are you?
I'm good. Can't complain.
Good. Can't complain either. Feels like fall outside.
Yeah, well, I can complain
October,
about that.
That part. Because, I mean, I wasn't loving the heat wave, but I was kind of hoping that summer would stretch out a little more, so we'll keep our fingers crossed for that. But we do have a packed show for you today. The first thing that I can't wait to talk about is there is an opportunity for people to do, I want to make sure I'm saying this right, a sleepover at a home before buying it. So you get to come in, see how the house feels, how quiet is it at night, what do the street lights look like? You know, how bright are they? Test out the bathroom before you actually commit. I wish I could do that. How about you?
Yeah, definitely.
Because you don't know what you're getting yourself into.
Exactly.
Particularly with the neighborhood. So I'm going to tell the story on the show today about how I rented an apartment right after college in the dead of winter. Looked like a beautiful tree-lined block. The summer was a completely different situation together. So I'm going to talk about that. Also, we have John Jordan in, who's going to talk to us about what we should be not necessarily putting away right after Labor Day in terms of our wardrobe and how to manage all of that and get the most bang for our buck out of all of our outfits. And of course, back to school money tips. You're a dad, so you'll get ahead of the game because this is for kids who are a little bit older. But we are going to have an expert on to talk about how to teach your kids about money as they head back to school. How do you budget your lunch money? How do you budget birthday money? What's a need? What's a want? How to put some money away. So it's going to be a good show.
All right, we look forward to it, and thank you for watching. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.